covering your hometown. From 5 newsrooms across the region, this is WDBJ 7.
In my 24-year history, this is the worst storm we've had.
Now at 6, historic flooding leaves parts of our region underwater and claims lives.
We hope that the number of fatalities due to the storm will not increase.
Tonight, stories of survival and heroism when every second counted.
He was able to grab my hand and pull me.
And the latest on cleanup as crews assess the damage. This special edition of WDBJ 7 at 6 starts right now. Good evening. Live from Danville, I'm Jean Jadhun. As the sun is setting on this Friday night on what has been a devastating week here in Danville, we are going to wrap up coverage on how the people here are affected. We know 3 people in this area are dead, swept away by floodwaters, and the city, a lot of parts of the city covered in mud. You can see here, I'm standing in a parking lot off of Riverside Drive, and just mud left in this parking lot, dust and dirt. This road was covered in water yesterday up to my knees, this water yesterday here on Riverside Drive. I'm in the parking lot of the Heartline restaurant. The workers were here serving customers when that flooding happened. We are going to hear from them in just a little bit. You could see the devastation from Air 7 from above, how high the river is, and what this area looks like after those floodwaters rushed in. First, a look at the Heartline. This is the Heartline restaurant. It's been in Danville for years. On this Friday, workers are spraying mud off of seating and moving furniture into a parking area to dry. Inside the restaurant, volunteers and workers are mopping floors. The owner and her son were serving customers when the floodwaters rushed in.
Next thing we know, water started coming in through the windows, and it was like a tidal wave. That big old heavy door, it opened it up, it brought the ashtray in the door with it, and the next thing we know, we were standing in water to our knees.
It was a disaster, mud, river water, everything everywhere. I mean, it was terrible.
And earlier we were talking about how thankfully here at the Heartline no lives were lost, that everyone's okay. But just a few moments ago, Deborah Lane, the owner, you found out that someone you know, someone who comes here every morning, is one of those.
For Lady Jennifer Mitchell.
Jennifer Mitchell is
found out that she died.
And tell me about Jennifer.
She's just a really sweet lady. She would come every morning and come in. She was a diabetic, and she would come in every morning and get something to drink and take her diabetic shot.
And you said she brought newspapers and dropped them off here for the other customers to read?
She would. We would buy newspapers from her, 3 of them every morning, and sometimes if she would have some left over, she would give them to some of the elderly people that couldn't afford to buy the paper.
All right, Deborah Lane, we're so sorry that a friend of yours is lost, and we wish you luck with the cleanup here at the Heartline. Ashley Ann has been following the story and the devastation, and she joins us now. Ashley Ann, what are you seeing where you are? Are a lot of roads still closed? Oh, Ashley Bowles, I'm sorry, not Ashley Ann. Ashley Bowles was talking to people who were involved in a rescue where the woman actually survived. A man went out and saved a woman who was trapped in floodwater. Ashley.
Jean, she says her nerves are shot. Kim Doherty doesn't have power at her house right now, and she hasn't been able to clean up since being in the floodwaters. But she says she owes her life to a man who was also driving on Goodyear Boulevard last night.
I didn't think I was going to be here today, but I'm going to start crying. But he risked his life to come and get me. And I am forever in his debt.
Kim Doherty didn't want to leave her house last night, but she told me she had to get to work. She took the same route she's taken hundreds of times before, but it was dark, and she couldn't see just how close she was to water.
I hit it so fast, it felt like I was on a roller coaster.
A ride she wanted off of. She tried with everything she had to get out of the car. Doing so caused the vehicle to nosedive even further.
I was in the water for 21 minutes before somebody came.
His name is Billy Wilson. Doherty says his truck hit the water too, but he was able to reverse.
I was praying I was trying to dial the number to my family to tell them goodbye because until he came, I knew I couldn't hold on anymore.
It took several more minutes for Drawdy to be able to touch the ground. Her car is still in about 20 feet of water, but she says that doesn't matter. She's still here to be a wife and a mother to her twin boys. Now, unfortunately, Drawdy told me that she also witnessed another car near her go completely underwater. Just a little while ago, police released the identity of that woman as 60-year-old Jennifer Mitchell. Jean, Drawdy doesn't know what her next steps are, but says she's just going to be exceptionally thankful for every day.
All right, Ashley Bowles, what an amazing story of survival there and heroism. Thanks, Ashley. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, several roads are closed, a lot are blocked, a lot of destruction, especially on some side roads. WDBJ7's Ashley Ann has been following that part of the story, and she joins us now with the latest. Ashley.
That's because of what you see right here behind me. The heavy floodwaters just washed away this whole chunk of road. And just moments ago, as you can see, cars have been actually able to drive by. And that's because these crews have been out here working all day. But that left many folks in this neighborhood stranded for most of the day.
Nothing but mud everywhere we go.
Patrick Saunders grew up in this neighborhood. Now walking around, he says some of it's unrecognizable.
Nothing like this has ever happened before. This is the first time we've had like a disaster.
Saunders took this video Thursday night, watching as floodwaters took over his neighborhood.
I'm pretty sure we would have been underwater right now. Like, we would be drowning standing here.
The usual calm creek turned into a powerful current, carrying away anything in its path downstream.
That got washed away too.
That being his neighbor's shed, now laying 2 streets away on its side, along with this van left upside down in the creek. The storm washed away the only access to the neighborhood, sending a lot of residents packing and the rest stranded.
And we're just checking on our neighbors to make sure everybody's okay.
On Friday, Mayor Alonzo Jones, along with the National Guard members, went door to door, checking on folks in the neighborhood.
Well, I've been here my life. This is the worst storm that I've ever seen. Like Danvillians do, we'll get through this.
We didn't have power, so there's nothing else to do besides walk around the neighborhood, see if everybody's okay.
Now, road crews are working on what they call right now a temporary fix so that cars can pass easily back and forth through the neighborhood. Now, the city officials tell me that it'll still be a couple of days until this is completely fixed, or at least able to be handling more vehicles. Back to you.
All right, Ashley Ann, thank you. I think it's going to take a while before all of the neighborhoods and roads get back to normal here in the city of Danville. A lot of folks are still without power this evening. Leanna Scicchetti has been following this part of the story. She joins us now. Leanna, you were out earlier and you say you saw people actually stopping to buy ice.
Yeah, I saw a line of people while I was driving and I stopped and pulled over and asked them. And now that the sun is back out, Jean, they tell me they are eagerly waiting for their power to come back on, but they know it could take some time. Standing in line in the warm sun,
I'm here waiting for ice.
Wayne Jacobs has one thing on his mind.
Just to keep my beer cold.
The Danville local joined a herd of others buying ice while waiting for their power to be restored, stunned by the unprecedented flooding.
I haven't seen anything like it before since I've lived here, and I've been in Danville since I was 8.
Danville officials said tonight 10,000 customers are still without power, down from the 20,000 without power this morning. Crews will work in 16-hour shifts to get full power restoration. Until then, folks like Jacobs will have to wait, but he recognizes the aftermath of this extreme weather could be worse.
Oh, it's sad. I've heard of people losing lives and, people without power, and elderly people need help.
Like I said, linemen and line women are going to be working in 16-hour shifts until the power is restored. And Jean, that could mean for some people until Saturday, for some folks until Sunday. We've got more specific details up on our website right now, so you can see when your neighborhood is estimated to have power back.
And it seems like it's going to be a little bit chilly tonight as the sun is going down. Feels a little bit different than the past few days. All right, Leanna Scicchetti, thank you for that. And we do know that 3 people in the Danville, Pennsylvania County area were killed in the flooding. And as Leanna mentioned, a lot of people without power. So a lot to really comprehend here in the city of Danville. Brent Watts has been tracking the storm, tracked it as it came in. And Brent, it is definitely, as the sun is going down, you can feel that chill in the air. What are we expecting for the weekend?
Well, Gina, it looks like the weather is going to cooperate for us for the weekend. The one thing I do want to show you, too, is a little perspective on this. Starting out yesterday, it was definitely a record-setting flood for the Dan River, Danville. Started out at noon, the river did at 8 feet, and then quickly rose 10 feet in a matter of 4 hours. Kept going to moderate stage, rose another 3 feet in 45 minutes, and then just kept going. Finally crested last night at 9:45 at 30 feet. That's a record crest going all the way back to 1996 from Hurricane Fran. So just to give you some perspective, this thing went very quickly. And as we saw from that, we know how impactful that was. Also, just to let you know, the damage, that wind damage that was in portions of Halifax and also Danville, not a tornado, but was straight line wind damage. So we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. And I'll have your weekend forecast.
Looking forward to that. Flooding across the Roanoke Valley had many people rushing to get out of their homes. We checked in at the Riverwalk Apartments in Salem this afternoon. Last night, people had to be helped out of their apartments. The first floor totally underwater. WDBJ7's Joe DeShiel has been checking in on conditions in Roanoke County. He joins us live with an update. Now, Joe, where are you this evening?
Well, Robin, tonight I'm on South Park Circle, a street we've visited before. Back on Memorial Day weekend, high water flooded several homes here, and it happened again yesterday. 5 months of renovations are now headed for the trash pile by the curb. Melody and Jerry Causey lost their second garage door in 6 months, and the flooring that was being installed when the creek behind their home left its banks.
About 1 o'clock. We could tell that the creek was going to overflow its banks again.
Now the ground floor of their home is covered with mud. A bathroom that was just completed will need new tile, and the Causeys, who were looking forward to returning home, will now have to make other plans.
Very frustrating because we've been out of the house now for 4 months, and now we're not sure exactly what's going to happen now.
And the Causeys aren't alone, Robin. There are several families on this street with a similar story, completing their renovations, and now they have to start from scratch.
Wow, and that kind of mud, Joe, takes forever to clean out. It is something else once it invades your home. Thanks for the update tonight. Up next, we will continue our weather coverage. We're going to check in on conditions in the New River Valley right after this. The New River has caused some problems for folks in Giles County. WDBJ7's Katie Rochetko continues our coverage now.
When residents of the Riverview campgrounds went to bed last night, all was normal. But some of them were woken up as early as 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to the sound of police officers and neighbors banging on their door, warning them that the New River had risen high and risen fast.
Residents and neighbors came by Friday to take a closer look at what Michael left behind in Giles County. Many of them took pictures documenting the devastation. T.A. Kegley is a temporary resident of the park. He says the height of the river when he woke up this morning was shocking.
Started walking through the campground and it had crossed the first and the second row to the campground and had over probably half of the campground campers underwater.
The manager says that of the 225 RVs on the campground, he thinks about a dozen of them are total losses. But he says it's still not the worst he's seen.
2013 is the worst one I've seen. So it happens. When you live on the river, you're going to have water.
In Giles County, Katie Rochetko, WDBJ 7.
Well, it's certainly been a record-setting event for some areas. Chief Meteorologist Brett Watts has the details next.
From the Lynchburg Roofing Weather Center, here's your hometown forecast.
So many of you have been talking about this is the worst that we've ever seen. In some cases, yeah, this was almost like the flood of '85. I put a comparison. This is the flood of '85 of Riverwalk Apartments there in Salem, right along the Roanoke River. The same, deck right there that you can see, and you can see how far it got up, very close to the top of those windows. I understand that most of these first floor structures are no longer used anymore because of that flooding that happens every so often. But it was definitely a big event for us. First record level there of flooding along the Dan River, the New River, also Roanoke River, top 10 highest crests. Some of those going back way back, and the flood of 85, of course, was the highest crest as opposed to some of the ones that we've seen along the Roanoke River. But it definitely got high. We do have a couple isolated showers that we're watching moving through later on this evening. Otherwise, we're expecting a partly cloudy night. If you're going to those high school football games, it's going to be clear to start. A few more clouds rolling in very late tonight, but a cool start to your day tomorrow. Looking for highs only in the low to mid 50s in the mountains, right around 60 degrees as we get into Roanoke, Lynchburg, and also into Danville. And I can tell you that the next couple days looking fairly quiet. There's a stray shower chance very late tonight into the mountains. Same thing on Sunday, and then it looks like Monday we're going to bring in a slightly better chance of scattered showers. But the one thing you will notice is there's no major warm spikes in there. We're actually going to stay at, or even just in some cases slightly below average when it comes to daytime highs. Those overnight lows in the 40s and the 50s. And believe it or not, there's even a chance of some wet snowflakes flying in places like Snowshoe, West Virginia, where they were actually trying out their snow guns earlier today. We'll have another look at your hour-by-hour forecast coming up online as well at WDBJ7 and on the weather app.
Now at the Toyota Sports Desk, here's WDBJ7's Travis Wells.
Tonight marks week number 8 of the high school football season, and despite some postponements, we'll still have highlights from 13 games across Central and Southwest Virginia tonight on Friday Football Extra. That includes our spotlight game of the week, the Black and Blue Bowl between Jefferson Forest and EC Glass in the Rough and Tumble Seminole. Mason Prince is at City Stadium tonight in Lynchburg with a preview.
Trav, another great game in our Spotlight Game of the Week tonight. Our past 2 teams of the week. I'm here with the team of the week, the head coach of the team of the week last week, Jeff Woody of EC Glass. Coach, another big-time test for you guys. Every time you guys have seen a test, though, you've met the challenge. What do you guys got to do tonight to get a win?
We got to control the trenches. We got to play responsibility football up front on defense. The wishbone, the legendary wishbone we were talking about, old Oklahoma wishbone. It's responsibility football. We got to trust each other, and we got to play tough up front. They always have an opportunity to outnumber you, so when we're in a situation where we got a one-on-one, we got to make the tackle.
A man after my own heart, talking about Oklahoma. Real quick, you talked about putting pictures on the wall. What makes you think this team has what it takes?
Well, we're accountable, and we've improved in a lot of ways, not only on the football field, but in the classroom, and we're helping out in the community, certain situations, but we got some electric guys that can carry the football. We're bigger and better up front than we have been. We're playing lights-out defense right now. Defense is going to win it.
Well, thank you so much, Coach, for joining us. Good luck tonight. Trav, we're going to have highlights from this game at 11 on Friday Football Extra. Send it back to you in the studio.
All right, looking forward to it. That's your look at sports. We're back after this.
Thankful that Friday has arrived and the sun came out today.
It was definitely refreshing. And notice how cool it got.
Yeah, it was.
Last night, a transformation happened certainly overnight. And we've got a cool night for high school football games. If you are going out to support your teams, I know a lot of them have been postponed, but there are a lot that are still going on. And that's why we've got Friday Football Extra coming up tonight at 11 p.m. So take your light jacket with you. Kickoff temperatures in the 50s, even some 40s in some cases by the end of the game.
I don't know where my jackets are. Okay, folks, hope you have a great weekend. Good night.